Happy Friday, everyone. We got a cool little work set coming your way from the minds and inspiration of CrossFit Linchpin. So, super stoked to kind of bring this one to you guys. It's going to be a fun day. Before we get to that work set, let's talk about the warm-up. We've got some skill work in there. Pretty brief little warm-up. Dynamic triangle, 3 to 5 a side. Overhead good morning for 5. Side plank for 20 seconds per side. Work on that stability through the arm. Forearm Plank Rock with 20 seconds. I'll kind of show you what that's all about. It's pretty fun. It's a little different kind of feel than, say, a lean back and forth, but we're going to play with that today. 2 to 3 rounds of that work set just to get things fired up. Then we're going to move down to this bottom piece with a humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5. Prone shoulder raise of 6 to 10 alternating, and a floor-facing angel of 3 at a 5-second tempo. Just 5-second hold, not tempo, hold. 3 rounds of that to really fire up those arms and get ready for those burpees, just to practice the skill of that. We want to make sure we're good and ready for that movement today. After, what we have is our work set. So our work set is very simple, but it'll be very effective. So what we have for you guys today, we have a little sandwich. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off with a plank hold of a minute. You're going to accumulate 1 minute. If you can hold the entire minute, awesome, give her, right? Take it down. If you need to break it up, break it down. So accumulating 1 minute of work. When you're done that minute, you will then do 3 rounds of this little triplet on the inside, which is 20 burpees, 15 box jumps, and 10 goblet squats. You'll do that for 3 rounds, and then you're going to finish off your work set with another minute plank hold. So another accumulation of 1 minute in that good solid plank, keeping it clean and banking good active time in those plank holds. And then you're done. So nice solid piece of work here. We'll have some fun with that, and we'll see where it takes us, leading us into the weekend. Let's get you warmed up and ready to go. All right, let's get those arms big and tall up overhead. We're just going to take those arms up, a little shrug. Then we're going to pull them back down. We're going to reach over to one side. And we'll come back up. And then reach to the other side. We'll come back up and shrug. And back down. We're going to take it all the way to the floor, touching those toes. Walking up the shins. We'll come down, framing a foot. We'll step back into your lizard. Nice square hip position. We'll take the arm up. We're going to bend at the elbow, reach straight ahead, pull back, straight ahead, pull back, straight ahead, and pull back. Big reach up. We're going to rotate, forearm down. We'll come back up and plant that hand down to the floor. We'll step her back into our down dog, reaching those hips high to the sky. And we're going to come back into our plank. Nice and solid through here. We'll step the other foot up. Nice and squaring those hips. We'll take the arm up to the sky. Bend at the elbow. Big reach straight ahead. Pull back. Straight ahead. Pull back. Straight ahead. And pull back. Big reach up. And rotate forearm to the floor. We'll come back up to the sky. Plant the hand. Step back into our down dog. Reaching those hips. We're going to come back into our plank. Tiptoe those feet up. We're going to roll ourselves all the way up. Big stretch. Big reach. Oh, big reach. Yeah. Come back down with the hands. Whew. I'm going to get you guys fired up. All right. So, pausing the video. If you'd like to take down some more kind of gentle warm-up, maybe spending some time with some scap push-ups, some wrist work just to get yourself fired up, take that down and then come join me for our next phase of warm-up. All right, we're going to start our day up today working and opening up our mid-body and our hips. So we're going to take ourselves into our sumo stance. And we're going to start our day off with our dynamic triangle. So we're going to turn a toe directly to the wall. We're going to turn the other toe on a slight angle on the angle, keeping our hips on the diagonal. Hand to the thigh, big press to the ceiling. We're going to squeeze and set our ribs and hips, and then we're going to pull the hip back into our heel. So really allowing ourselves to work that hinge as we take it back and forth. The arm is always pointing up to the ceiling, and we're always keeping a little bit of pressure up into the sky as we work that back and forth motion. So we're drawing the hip back into that nice hinge, and then we take it back up into that nice reach. Remembering that that nice set of the hips and that pull back of the hip to get that hinge is super crucial in getting that movement and creating space in the side body opposed to crunching over in this side. So we want to create a nice long torso throughout this whole process. After that, we're going to stay in our sumo stance, and we're going to work our overhead good morning. And if you'd like to do a couple sumo good mornings before you start adding in the overhead, totally endorse that. It's a nice feeling. It kind of grooves that hinge pattern before we add in that overhead position into the process. So I'm going to turn profile. I'm going to keep this position, and we're just going to walk through our good morning first. So I'm going to squeeze my glutes, set my ribs, and I'm going to pull my hips back into that nice hinge, and then I'm going to stand up nice and tall, opening up the hips nice and fully. So again, from here, I'm pulling the hips back, getting that hinge to about 90 at the most, and then standing up nice and tall. With this now, we're going to add in the overhead position. So the hinge factor is the exact same. The only thing we're going to add in is this overhead position. So I'm reaching my arms overhead, I squeeze and set my ribs, and I pull my hips back, softening my knees as I reach my arms nice and long to the front, and I take it to that end range. You may find that when we add in the overhead position, you can't quite get as deep in that hinge as you could without your hand or with your hands low. And that's okay. Focus on your overhead position and the range you can keep as you maintain that overhead position. Don't worry that you can't get all the way down. Not a big deal. Focus on those shoulders. Our next exercise we're going to come into is this nice static side plank. So what we're going to do is if you'd like to venture through this from your plank, you can, or from a tabletop. But from here, we're going to get set up, and we're going to press through our arm. We're going to rotate, stacking our feet, pressing through the shoulder. This arm can be up, it can be down, it can be across your chest if you'd like, but wherever you need it for balance. Now from here as well, what you can work on is a slight blading of the foot if you need it for balance purposes to maintain that nice open side position. Now if that side plank is a little bit too much in terms of on that shoulder and we feel it just sinking in and we can't push it down, then we'll do a supported side plank. And the supported side plank, we come through our tabletop just to set the shoulders, the ribs. I'm going to keep this knee down. I'm going to step this foot back into this nice open position, continually pressing through that arm, and then opening up to the side. Again, the arm can be where it needs to be for your body position, but we're focusing on pushing the floor away, pushing ourselves up away from the ground into that side position. We're going to hold 20 seconds per side, so it can be very challenging, but we only want to go there if we can keep that shoulder active and away from the ear. From here, we're going to move into a slightly odd kind of movement, which is a forearm plank rock. We're going to do this for 20 seconds, so I don't want you to necessarily worry about reps, but just really getting a nice, smooth, solid movement with this. So what you're going to do is you're going to come into our forearm plank. I'm going to turn sideways so you guys can see this from the side. So we're going to press down into our arms. You can have your palms down. You can have your knuckles together, whatever feels good for you. We're going to step our feet back into our plank. We're going to establish our forearm plank first. From here, we're going to pull forward a bit with the upper body, and then press back. And then pull forward, and press back. So we're maintaining this nice little saw action back and forth. So in other words, it's also called a body saw in different variations with your feet on a different surface. So the big thing here is keeping our body nice and stable, making sure that we're not sinking into the scapula. So it's very, very important that we push the floor away with those forearms and open up that upper back to maintain that strong position. So take your time with those and only go as far forward as your body will allow you to maintain position. Quick recap for you guys. We have a dynamic triangle for 3 to 5 aside. Overhead good morning for 5. Side plank, 20 seconds per side. Forearm plank rock, 20 seconds. Just movement back and forth, giving yourself a little bit of a beat per side or per portion of the movement. 2 to 3 rounds of that movement set. Take that down, pause the video, rock it, come back and join me. We're going to move into that next phase. We're going to work on continuing to warm up those shoulders a little bit. our next phase of warm-up is going to start off with our humeral glide to knee push-up or knee plank hold. So I'm going to get myself set up in this nice position here on the floor. So my hands are down by my chest, my wrist is stacked underneath of the elbow, and from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my shoulders forward into this position that I don't want to be in a push-up. Then I'm going to pull my shoulders back and down, setting that back position. I pull my ribs and hips in, and I'm going to push to my knees. From here, I'm going to lower forward and down, maintaining that good core position, so my chest leads the show. I get down and I relax. So I'm going to pull the shoulders forward where I don't want them. Pull them back and set, ribs and hips, push to the knees, and then from here, again, I'm going to lower slightly forward and down, keeping those arms at that 45 degree in that good strong position. So I'm holding this nice strong position, this 45 degree position. So if you were looking at me from top down, I would look like a little arrow. So my head is the point of the arrow and my elbows are the sides. So we want to keep that nice spacious area nice between the arms, not super tight and definitely not up in that T position, but nestled right in the middle. And that's going to help recruit a lot of pec, a lot of delt, a lot of lat engagement to help with that press and stabilize the shoulder. After that, we're going to lay on the floor some more, actually for the next two movements, and we're going to work on our prone shoulder raise. So toes are together. I know this is everyone's favorite shoulder exercise, but we're going to press into the floor. We're going to pull our ribs in, armpits are down, palms are down. And from here, we're going to maintain this tension as we lift that arm up off the ground, holding for a couple seconds, pressing into the floor, switch sides. Lower into the floor, switch sides. Lower into the floor, switch sides. And we're going to move back and forth with that, activating that position, maintaining that nice hollow. So if you feel yourself disengaged through the ribs or the core position, just take a moment, reset that position before you continue with the rest of the reps, because we want to make sure that this piece is solid. Our last piece of the day is our floor-facing angel hold. So we're going to work on pulling those shoulders back a bit, opening up through the chest, which should feel pretty nice after those humeral glides and prone shoulder raises. So from here, we're back into the bottom position that we use in our humeral glide. And if you would like to use the humeral glide to set up your shoulders for this, I invite you to do so. So we can always shoulders forward, shoulders back, and then as we set the ribs, we squeeze the shoulders together, lifting the hands up off the floor, and then lowering down. From here again, I can do it the humeral glide again, setting back, ribs, hips, squeeze, and down. And you can work on that little humeral glide back into set position, squeeze and lift. Now remembering that the floor-facing angel can be very challenging, and I don't want you to worry if you can't get your hands completely off the floor. It really depends on that pec opening, all right, and that ability to retract the shoulders to get the hands coming up. The key thing we have to remember is that when we're doing this, our goal is to keep our elbows stacked over top of our wrists. So we don't want to move our hand some funky way just to get our hand off the floor. We want to make sure that the elbow is going straight back and straight back down when we do that lift and lower. So try not to contort your body, right? Try to keep everything stacked and down. Don't worry about the height. Worry about the engagement and position. Quick little recap for you guys. We have a humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps. Prone shoulder raise for 6 to 10 alternating. Floor-facing angel, 3 at a 5-second tempo. Sorry, again, said it again. 5-second hold for 3 rounds. And that's really going to kind of hone in some skill with that push-up, and it's also going to allow you to really heat those shoulders up, ready for the work set that's coming. Pause the video, take that down, have some fun with it, get those shoulders ready. We're going to get you ready for a little practice round to get those legs fired up and get you ready for action. All right, we're getting close to the workout. Now we've really warmed up the shoulders and the core. Now we've got to get the heart rate going a little bit, and we got to get those legs fired up. So we're going to go through the movements in our work set, and I want you to check the workout description because there'll be a couple of variations of a practice round there that you can use to get your heart rate up and use to get yourself ready to go. Now, the first movement in our workout today is a plank hold. So we do a lot of plank holds in our warm-ups. Very rarely we do them in the workout. So what we're gonna, again, work on maintaining those hands under the shoulders, the feet together. I'm gonna pull my ribs in, press my shoulders to the ceiling. I'm gonna hold this position the entire time. My eyes are kind of looking just in front of my fingers. And I'm gonna hold this position nice and active for a minute. Or I'm going to accumulate that time frame in a minute. Or sorry, for a minute. So I want you to think about active banked time. So not holding to hold as our shoulders sink in, our core starts to kind of disengage, and I start to begin loosey-goosey. I want to be nice and strong so that at any point, someone could come stand up on your shoulders and your hips and stand on you like a surfboard. Not that they will, but, all right, we want to make sure that if someone did, we'd be like, that's right, I'm holding strong. So that's what we want to think about. The other option too we can play with is setting up that plank position, ribs pull in, pressing through the shoulders, and we can go through the knees as well. So we want to maintain this nice plank in that hollow position. So if you are going to go from the knees, I want you to start by initiating through the toes and setting up that position first. Okay? Now after that, we have a little bit of dynamic work. So we have 3 rounds of 20 burpees, 15 box jumps, and 10 goblet squats. So the movements, all right, that we have there for you, the burpee. We have 2 variations. We have a burpee or we have a squat thrust. So with the burpee, what we have, all right, the hands come down, I jump, lower, and finish. Or I can work on hands, I can step, lower, and step. Or any combination of those 2. So if I'm comfortable stepping back and then jumping in, I can do that. Or I can jump back and I can step in. Main focus here with our feet. I want you guys to really try and land with those feet nice and flat. So we want to keep the feet flat and kind of jumping to our hands. So they're a little wider to give us a good base and a good landing position for that burpee. Now after that, we have our squat thrust. So our squat thrust, very similar. We come down, I pop my feet into a plank, I jump it in, or I take it down, I step back, jump it in, or I can step back, step in, working on any combination of those things. Now the big thing with the squat thrust is we're hitting a good plank. So as soon as those feet hit in that plank position, I'm set, strong, and my shoulders are nice and stable. So I'm isolating my upper body so my legs can work. Okay, so we want to keep our shoulder directly over the hands the entire time. Play with those, mix and match, see how it feels. If you're like, well, you know what? I'm getting better with burpees, but 20 is just too much for one round. There's nothing wrong with doing 5 full burpees and then finishing off with 15 good squat thrusts. Because over 3 rounds, you're going to accumulate a nice chunk of work with those burpees and start building your volume with the full burpee. If you're like, I just want to kind of do a squat thrust and go fast, give it, but make sure we're hitting our positions. After the burpee, we have our box jump. We have a few different variations for you guys today, but right now, I have a box for something I'm comfortable jumping on at home that's stable and is not going to move around. So with the jump, I get set, I pull my hips back with my knees going slightly out, and I'm going to jump, land, and I'm going to stand up tall, I'm going to step down. So again, quick hips, landing with those soft knees, and then extending at the top of the box. I can also work on a step up. If you're not a jumper, or you don't have something you're comfortable jumping on, but comfortable stepping on, you can work on a nice step up, fully extending the legs and hips, or you can work on a lateral step over. So kind of very similar, a little like more explosive as we work side to side and work laterally side to side, if you're comfortable with the apparatus you have. Now if you don't have something you're comfortable jumping or stepping on, we can use some space here, and we can use 1 of 2 other types of jumps, which is a broad jump. So I'm going to stand facing this direction. I'm I'm gonna throw my hips like I would do a box jump, except I'm gonna jump forward. So I'm gonna hip, hop, land soft and quiet with good knees, and then turn around and do it again. Hips, hop, landing, absorbing, and trying to land as soft as I can. Another option is our tuck jump. So instead of jumping forward, I'll jump up and bring my knees to my chest. So I get the same hip action, so I get my knees going out, knees come up, and I land with this soft absorption. So I don't need to jump super high, but I'm gonna jump as high as I feel comfortable so that I can land with those soft knees. Now these are not rebound, these are not fast, all right? They're challenging, all right? And we wanna make sure that we're landing quiet and soft so we're not landing and jarring our body with two sticks, okay? I can have a couple other options, so check the bottom as well. We'll have some other options for those jumps for you to make sure that you're taken care of well with those jumping options. Last but not least, we have our Goblet Squat. So our Goblet Squat, again, one of my favorite variations of squats because it does help really, really well to help build a tall, upright body position for your squatting. So our feet are going to be in our regular squat stance. Dumbbell is being held under the chin, pressing into the dumbbell just a little bit to keep the body upright. I'm going to pull the hips to the heels, keeping my chest up as high as I can. My knees going slightly out, tracking my toes, and then I stand upright. Hips to heels, feet stay flat, chest is high, and stand. So I'm going to work on that nice smooth squat, working on that good position as I lower down with those hips going to the heels. Key things to think about, there's only 10, so you don't have to go too fast with these. Weight through the midfoot, nice flat foot contact, knees out, tracking the toes, and a nice upright torso. So a couple key things to think about as you're going through those squats, especially as you get fatigued. Once you're done 3 rounds of that work set, you will finish the workout out with one more 1-minute plank hold or accumulation of a minute in that plank, and then you're gonna rock it and call it a day, right? So check out that workout description. I'm gonna have a few different options for some of our movements, plus I'll have a few different options for some practice rounds that you can experiment with to get yourself ready to play with to get ready for the workout. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, you guys. I really liked this one whenever I took her down. I really enjoyed the kind of just the simplicity of the movements and the work set. You didn't have to think too much, you just get the work done and have some fun with it. So as always, work for quality, have a ton of fun, you guys. And let me know how these workouts are going. I always love hearing feedback. I always love hearing how you're taking them down, what you're doing. It's always nice to hear and see your progress. Thank you so much for rocking it today, you guys. We're going to come at you tomorrow to kickstart May. We're going to have a good time on our Saturday work set. Bye, you guys. See you very soon.